watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
All right, good evening. Welcome along. This is Surrey Hills Radio. Welcome along. Oh, sorry, wrong card. Let me get the right introduction card. Here we go. We'll try that one again. Good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night, goodbye. Hello. Welcome along. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. I thought what I just did was really funny, but looking at Dave, obviously it wasn't because he never smiled. I thought, and I did that just for him as well. But thank you for joining us, whether you are watching on YouTube. Oh, it's going to be a long night. Watching on YouTube or listening on your favourite podcast platform. Thank you so much. If you're watching live, feel free to join in the chat and with the show. Or if you're watching on catch-up, you can still comment by adding your comments below on YouTube. And, of course, you can get us on all the usual social media sites there. We have currently shut down the website, basically because it's the cost for what it is bringing me back in isn't worth it. So the website is gone, but we're on all the social media sites, as you can see below. We haven't done a show for a week because basically the sweet FA has gone on. But we'll just say hello to Nate and good evening also to Luke. How are you, Luke? Welcome along. I am very well. Hope you are too. And that's the other half. When I say the other half, of course, I do mean Bradley. That's just upset him. That will teach him to coming in late. But it is Let's Talk Leicester. It is the debate show. Want to talk about anything? Stick it in the chat and we'll try and make a note of it and come back and catch up later. We're going to start off talking about the big shirt debate. But first of all, let's get my co-hosts in this evening. And first of all, let me bring in guest number one, the one that didn't think I was very funny, and say, hello, Dave.
Hello, Chris. Right. You would have been funny if I could have heard you. It froze.
Oh,
I
dear.
did chuckle to myself slightly just in case it was funny.
Not from what I saw. You have to go back and watch it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I get an extra viewer then.
Okay.
So, welcome on. Bognor or Leatherhead today?
I was in Leatherhead until about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I'm back here now. And it's bloody warm, isn't it?
It is. It's not particularly sunny, but it is very close. I have got somebody to the right of me here blowing very, very hard. Unfortunately, it's not a female. It is a fan. But somebody who doesn't know about fans. Brad, good evening, sir. How are you?
I was fine till he said he had the cheek to call me late. I was here 40 minutes early, so I was a good boy. I was here before the class started.
You were here 40 minutes early, then you weren't here 30 minutes before, then you were here 20 minutes early, then you weren't here 20 minutes before.
Technology, mate, the bane of my life. I don't do my laptop in case it just kicks me out again.
So I suppose he bought a fucking apple as well, did he, or something, for the teacher?
No. He told me his favourite fruit's a banana, and I said, well, can you tell what it is yet? So, we'll leave that one there. I won't get started on that one.
No. Did you say a teacher, Dave?
Yeah.
I used to have a teacher called Mrs. Turtle. I know it's a silly name, but she taught us well. If you live in the Leatherhead area, this is what you're going to be waking up to every morning from next week.
You'd bring home the gold medal in dad jokes, wouldn't you, mate? Dad jokes was Olympic sport.
That's my big selling point. And Terry's signed the register. I'm not sure what he means, as it is the BBC that are in a lot of trouble today. But and Luke is in as well. Good evening, Luke. How are you? And the other Luke says he's training to be a teacher at the moment. If you see Mrs. Turtle, give her my best. Yeah. Look, nothing much is happening since we were last here. So we've still sort of got the 2 signings. Players might leave. And I'm sorry, Brad, but yes, Forest look like they could be getting... The bromance could be ending. Brad and Nacho. Is he going to go to Forest? Surely, I'm sorry to call you Shirley, but surely the bad ones are really coming out tonight. Dave, we've got to keep hold of some half-decent players, haven't we?
Is it just a rumour?
Well, stronger than a rumour, apparently. Apparently, we've offered him.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's very strange.
Not earning that much, is he? In comparison,
I don't think it's that. I mean, that says that the you better look after him, Nate. That is my favourite footballer. You better treat him well. You better sing his name well if he joins you.
If he gets a game.
Well, he's got to do this
as well. He deserves to be playing full.
Spent ages putting that together, and he might be leaving us. But
I might have to go watch some Forest highlights every time.
Mate. I mean, I have never forgiven Jeff in the Philippines for letting his son support Forest.
Oh, I never support them. No.
Who knew?
Only when Ian actually scores will I watch that highlight, and I'll skip the goals before him.
Yeah. Luke says here, and it's a fair point, Brad. Inevitable Nacho will go. He's too good for the Championship. Having said that, he does love the club. Look, guys, we know we've got Vardy, and he's got a year left. We've got Daka, and we've got Nacho. Out of the 3 of them, I mean, Vardy's going to stay simply because he's only got a year to go. So out of the other 2, we've got to keep Nacho, haven't we?
I mean, you'd assume so because Vardy's only going to be around for this year. I think even if we were to get promoted back to the Premier League at the first attempt, I'm sorry, I just do not see a way that Vardy spearheads the attack anymore for us. I think Jamie Vardy has one more chapter in his tale left to tell, and that would be get Leicester back to where we as fans and they as players believe that they belong, and that is the Premiership. And then I know we've been saying it season upon season, it feels like, but I feel like that would be Jamie Vardy's way to go off into the sunset. It doesn't end on a sour note. There was no way he was going to end on a sour note of relegation. He was always going to stick around. The only opportunity I ever saw Vardy ever leaving was when Sheffield Wednesday won promotion, and you're thinking old club, boyhood club sort of thing. I know they turfed him away when he was young because they thought he wouldn't make it, but you always have that thing, don't you, in the back of the mind, sentiment reasons.
I'd be happy if he went to Sheffield Wednesday. I would not want to stand in his way.
But maybe if he has a good season this season, the Championship, say he gets 15 goals or something around that mark, and then Leicester say, look, thank you, but we're not going to use you in the Premier League. If Sheffield Wednesday don't get promoted, he might then use that as his chance to end his career, his journey.
He's got literally that year left. So if he does have a good season, he's gone anyway. I mean, Dave. We know your favourite player's gone, Daniel Amartey, and I have actually got a video of Dave and Daniel. I'm not sure which is which, to be honest with you. But
Cheers, mate.
who would you let go now? Oh no, there's a man behind. There's a
He's
man
trying to leave
behind
the premises. He's trying to leave the premises without being detected for getting his face in the door.
That didn't work, did it?
It's a bit like Ghost Hunter, isn't it? Like, you know you're haunted. But
I always
Dave,
think,
would
yeah,
you
I always-
sooner let Daka go or sooner let Nacho go?
I'd keep them all. I don't see how we can cope without, 4 strikers, let alone 3 and 1 that probably won't play all the games, because what do we got? 46 games or something stupid? I don't know.
Well, that's just the league, yes.
Yeah,
And we've got-
so Vardy ain't going to be able to play in too many more than half of those, I wouldn't think. So we end up with 1 striker up front. Mind you, Man City won the league without any strikers, didn't they? So
well,
I just don't see how we can do it. We need it. I think we need another 1 or 2 strikers. I really do.
I mean, the guy that they're linking, like Terry said there, Perlo, is it? Or somebody from Swansea. We're after him, but I believe Everton and another, I think Palace are both after him as well.
Yeah, well, he's not going to come to Leicester, is he, to be fair?
Well, I was going to ask you that, Dave. I mean, would he go to Everton? I mean,
No,
let's be honest with you. They may stay in the Premier League, but they're going to have another relegation battle, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And Palace, yeah, they've got Roy there and he's done all right, but surely the future would look better for him at Leicester.
Well, who knows, mate? I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Whether the team will gel straight away, whether they'll be in there for 2 or 3 years. These guys don't want to hang around, do they? If they get in the Premier League early on, they'll do it. Probably if the money's right, but we're not going to be paying. Well, probably we will pay the same as Everton and Palace, but I'm sure we go Premier League.
Well, we already outdid Everton for Connor Cody, didn't we? Because they had the option because of his loan agreement to have taken him for 4 million, and if they can't afford that,
they're dodgy, aren't they, with this money?
Well, yeah. I mean, anyone would think if anyone else broke the law, they'd get punished. But it seems highly significant. But that's not for me to talk about. That's none of our business being little of Leicester, is it?
Well, talking about clubs that are being dodgy with their dealings and their money, I did a show, one of my Life's the Pitch shows the other day, and it was about Leicester City ripping off their own fans, and with the fact that they have got an agreement with JB Sports a few years ago, and yet nobody that is at the club now had anything to do with it. I'm sure Top and Susan and all the others were there at the time. And I wanted to come back to this because it really did piss me off, if I'm honest with you. And I'm just going to quickly run through what I said on the other day. We'll come back to comments at the end. But Leicester City hit with fine after breaching competition law in JD Sports deal. There's a programme on the BBC called Rip Off Britain. To me, this is Rip Off Leicester, because I do think they have been ripping off the fans. And this is what appeared on the BBC, that somebody that deals with finances at clubs has said about Leicester: if you're going to run a club, run it professionally. And he went on to say, I think it's embarrassing from an ownership and governance point of view. Clearly, Leicester need every penny they can get in 23-24 following relegation. It's more symbolic embarrassment. It's just a case of, if you're going to run a club, run it professionally and put the fans at the heart of it. And what gets me is, and don't get me wrong, I will forever be grateful for everything that family has done for the club. But we put them on such a high pedestal. I'm sorry, giving me a bottle of water for the next home game doesn't come anywhere near when they've been fixing the price of shirts. I could not go to JD Sports and buy a Leicester shirt without paying more, because Leicester City told them that if they wanted to sell them online, they had to add postage, so that it was actually more expensive than Leicester. And I think that is the club taking the piss out of its fans. And yet, and we've all said this, like, oh, poor old Top, he's been having to run this company that's nearly gone bankrupt because of COVID. Bollocks. He's doubled his fortune to $3.5 billion. I won't say what it is in Thai bahts because it's about there's more noughts than I can imagine. But he has doubled his wealth power to 3.5 billion since COVID stopped. So he ain't having a bad time of it. He's not short for a bob or two. And yet they are saying to us, your part. Well, fuck off. There's no way I'm buying the blue shirt this season because they're ripping me off with these shirts. Yeah, I might buy the second strip. I'm not buying the new one because it's blue. It's the same as every other shirt. I'm actually agreeing with my ex-wife here. Why should I pay £63 for a shirt that I know now you are ripping me off with? Those are the costs. 45 quid for a man's and woman's shirt. Sorry, £63 for a man's and woman's shirts. £45 for a kiddie's shirt. So what I did was I did a bit of homework, which makes a change for me. Dividing the overall number of usual residents in the households by the overall number of households gives the average household size. In 2021, this was 2.4 residents per household in England. That comes from the Office for National Statistics, the 2021 census. So, let's say I wanted to go to a match with a young man. Obviously, my son is now an adult. It would cost me, if I took my son, £126 for 2 shirts if I wanted to treat him. If I had a child, it would cost me 108. I had 2 children, and I've got 4. So if 2 of those children wanted to support Leicester, and they both buy one, it cost 153. And they're not going to be happy going into school with a older shirt on because of peer pressure. If there was taking my partner and we had a child, it would cost me £171. 2 adults and 2 children, it would cost me £216. 1 adult, if all my 4 kids were into football, I'd love it if they were, and they all wanted shirts. And when there were, I think, 5, I've got a picture where we were actually in Leicester shirts. It would have cost £243. And when I put per annum there, it is per annum because you have to buy a new one every fucking year. Not every 2 years. Brentford, they didn't, because of the cost of living crisis, they decided not to bring out a new strip. They would keep the same strip for 2 seasons. What were Leicester doing? They were fixing the prices of the shirts at the same time so that we were paying more than we should be having to. I just think that we do not, or we should realise that these owners, they're not these, heroes and everybody that we think they are. We put them on this high pedestal. Well, that pedestal is breaking away. Those are the shirts. I know it's a bit embarrassing, but those are the shirts that I have got. How much have I been ripped off by the club over the years paying that, or paying what they've been asking me to pay with all of those shirts? And I've got sweatshirts and jumpers in there and Christmas jumpers as well. They are ripping us off. Simple as that. Now, interested in your thoughts. Let me come to you first, Dave. What are your thoughts on that?
You're going to hate me. But I'm not surprised. I was in the sports shop business back in, 89, 90, I think it was. And there's a cartel then. And companies like Reebok, Puma, Adidas, Nike, whoever else, Umbro, they insisted to display their goods. We bought a certain amount of goods from them, which was £5,000 at the time, which was quite a lot of money for us setting up a new business, each of them. And then they told us what price we had to charge for it. And I remember specifically Puma for their trainers' football boots. I don't remember Puma Kings. They were the big boot in those days. And we went to a place called Macro in Croydon, I think it was. There was one of these discount shops. And they were there for trade plus VAT, Puma Kings. Now, Puma promised us they would never, ever do that as a carrot to buy the stuff, apart from the fact the boots were popular. But we were charging whatever it was, £35 times 35% plus VAT because we had to, and they were selling them off trade. So it doesn't surprise me. there's always been this monopolies thing around, and wherever you are, whether it be mortgage rates when I was working, or whether it be sports gear, it's always there. And I don't know. I mean, should I be really shocked? I probably should. I was surprised when you did it, but then I wasn't surprised because it's happening and has happened before and probably been going on for 30, 40 years.
It's probably more than likely. I mean, Facebook user here, stick your name at the end, guys, if you're on Facebook and you're not signing in. Every club rips off fans. Maybe they do, but I've got to be honest with you, Facebook user, I don't give a shit about Manchester United ripping off their fans, Aston Villa ripping off. I don't give a fucking flying fuck about them. I'm on about Leicester.
We charge £63, yeah, for an adult shirt.
Yeah.
So if you compare those to others, I don't know a lot of them how they come out, but I know like Leeds, I think I saw £80 next year.
Chris, I'm not sure if you've even seen the comment just above the one you've highlighted from Terry. He says that being devil's advocate, Leicester shirt's still the cheapest that is in the Premier League. That one, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But
I know we're a championship club, but we
are a champ. But again, I don't give a shit whether we are the cheapest or whether we are the most expensive. What I give a shit about is the fact that we're being ripped off. And Thunder, I mean, just listen to what I'm saying, because before you comment, listen to what I have said. I am an adult. I don't have the same pressure to buy a kit that school-age children do, but I've got 4 children. Or did that part of my conversation go over your head? Maybe it did. Maybe you didn't, hear me say I've got 4 children and only one of them is supportive. Maybe that, maybe you didn't hear that. And none of them are up to school age. I am just saying that when you have got kids at school, they do want to buy the latest shirts, which used to be, when I was at school, every 3 seasons. Well, I go back.
That's the rip-off. It used to be that way in the 90s. I don't remember our shirt changing every season back in the 90s.
That is the rip-off.
Premier League, it started. Premier League. Yeah. Just before we went to the Premier League, it was every 2 seasons.
Yeah. And everyone moaned about that.
Yeah. But what annoys me is that we sit here and go, oh, isn't it lovely? The owners give us a cake when it's the RIP Visho, when it's his birthday. We get a nice muffin, and we get a can of beer here, or we get a free bacon sarnie there. Yeah, and in the same breath, they're ripping us off.
Well, I've never had that.
No, I never have, because but I as you know, I live on the South Coast, so I don't get to many games. I have had a season ticket in the past, like you, Dave. I
never had a
going to renew my my membership, but it won't let me, so they can fuck off and do that, because I've spent seems all last week trying to do it and I can't. And then I actually thought, why should I give £43 to the club for that when they're ripping me off, or they ripped me off all these years on shirt sales? And what gets me is that JD Sports, they actually went to the commission and said, actually, this is what's been going on with Leicester, because they wanted to get the leniency deal. And then Leicester haven't even, fought it. And Brad, this is what gets me. And I go back, and this is an expert on club finances saying, if you're going to run a club, run it professionally. And we haven't. We know we don't run a club professionally, because look at all the cock-ups and shit that happened last season.
Yeah, I mean, we know the situation has completely changed in ownership. So I was just trying to deal with something in regards to someone in the comments. Sorry,
just sort of say, sorry, Terry, they are being fined, but because they went and reported it, they are getting a leniency charge rather than the full charge.
It's basically like
$250,000 we're having to pay out.
It's basically like getting a lesser sentence of grassing someone up, isn't it? Really, that's all JD have done. The thing is, though, and it's not a defence, because I'm not going to sit here and say this was done before the owners, but I'm fairly certain this has been in place for years, donkey's years. I'm talking when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, so way before 2008, 2009, way before the owners came in. I'm sure I remember JD having our shirts, and then they had no issues. They had no issues at all. So I don't know how deep or how long this issue has actually been before it's been found out that Leicester have been cutting corners and ripping their fans off. Again, I'm not condoning it, and I'm not saying that the owners shouldn't have maybe done this earlier, or if it is something indeed that's come in since their regime. But I just feel like maybe it's just one of them tricks of the mind things. But I feel like there's a particular store on the edge of town that's not too far away from the King Power. I think that's the one that's mainly in question, that I used to go to get my shirts from there because they were a little bit cheaper, and I just wonder, actually, how long is it? Is this something that the owners kind of knew about but played ignorance to it because they didn't think anything behind it? It was just like a deal that was really in contrast, or is this something that was only there from them? Because I very, very vividly remember being a younger lad, which made me a lot younger than at that time than when these owners came in, that there was a store not too far away from the King Power that had football boot bags, it had kits, it had shorts, and I'm fairly certain this was back in the days when we had Walkers as a sponsor.
Leicester used to have an actual shop, I believe.
It might be that I'm thinking of.
Near the clock tower.
It may even be that I'm confusing it with, but I do remember there was a certain store that I looked at one day and thought, how's that connected to the club? Surely anything Leicester is sold within the club. But as we know,
Facebook user here, and Jason, I don't know who you were calling a dickhead, but I've removed that, and if you post anything like that again, you get kicked out of the Facebook group. So
I was just going to deal with that myself when you put that.
So watch your language. But he does go on to say here, and I can't see what it says now, get the shirt from the guy at the ground, from the fan store on match day. It's the same price. It's not what we're, they're charging 63. What I'm saying is they're stopping somebody else selling it a little bit cheaper. Because
can I make a point there, Chris? Because I've just looked at JD Sports. They sell Tottenham shirts. They've got one above the other on the website. One is £80, and there's one below which is exactly the same, which is £40.
Is that not a child one?
I thought that. It must be. Oh, actually, sorry. It's my fucking eyes. It's a home short. £40 for a pair of shorts.
So, now can I just say, a short has sort of two gaps for the legs to go in, where a shirt has smaller gaps for arms
but
to
they've
go
got a picture. They've got a picture of the shirt, though.
Oh, have they?
Oh, so it's not, they can't even advertise it properly.
Yeah.
I thought Dave was just about to reveal that Tottenham had a trophyless discount for Spurs.
Yeah, I was.
Right, Smigster says, I live in Western Supermare. I get my shirt online every season with badges and names, and numbers cost me over £80. That's it. When you start to add the extras on,
Yeah, although you could argue the extras are more on you. I mean, again, children, I can see the argument for children, obviously, but as an adult, that's up to you. I
want to support my team. I can't get to the matches because I live an 8-hour return journey away, so I can't get to the matches. When you put the cost of the time, the petrol, food, plus the season ticket, not like getting the number 43 bus to the ground and getting off on a 10-minute journey. So what I'm saying is that all those costs. So I always bought the shirts, and I buy 3 shirts most seasons now: the home, the set away, and the third. Basically, because when I do this show, I like to wear different shirts, and it's my way of supporting the club. Now, next season, if I buy a blue one, I'll be buying it. Well, when I bought the black one this season, when it was 20 quid. Terry says here, surprised there are not any pirate shirts made in the city. If there was, the Leicester City would be going absolutely mad. Oh, you can't do that. You're ripping the club off. So it's not, you can't rip the club off, but you can rip the fans off.
But what gets me is, Chris, is they'll fly and post out thousands upon kits to areas like Thailand and other places like that where Leicester do have a more popularised following, obviously due to them being Thailand owners, but obviously our shortened success. They'll pay for that to go out there and make it affordable for their cost of living out there. They're not charging them the equivalent of £63 for their shirts, so they can't be that bothered about making a profit on it too much, can they? Because they're making it affordable for that. That's not supposed to come out any way, shape, or form towards the financial issues over in other countries. I can't go into that detail, but you know what I mean? It's like They're not suddenly expecting them to pay what in certain areas of the world would be a bloody month's worth of work.
Yeah.
They're going to down cost it for them.
Yeah. I mean, this for me sums Leicester up, because you and me, Dave, and you as well to a point, but we've supported Leicester all our lives. Us, obviously, longer, Brad not being awful,
Yeah.
we happen to be older.
Yeah. I haven't got another 6 years of my life like you, Per.
No, thank you. Anyway, as we were saying, but I can, this isn't what the club we are supporting now is not the club that we used to support. It is not the little old Leicester family sort of club, and I understand it to a point, but this put the fans at the heart of it. I can't remember the last time when, unless it was a free bottle of water, a free can of beer, that they actually put us at the heart of it. We get, I mean, they do in a way, and I've got to remember they donate a lot of money to charity, of course they do. What this makes me wonder, Dave, is what else they're ripping us off on. Because if they're prepared to do this and then hide from it, Top knew nothing about it, Susan Wheeler knew nothing about it, it was the head of marketing that is no longer there. Bollocks! Yeah, sorry. You
There's
don't make that
two
decision.
things. Yeah, the rip us off on beer and food, but everybody does. You pay the most wonderful pork sausage roll, but it's a £5. I don't know how much the lager is, but it's not cheap. So you get ripped off wherever you go. The other thing is, I don't trust JD Sports at all. I think they're one of the biggest crooks in the industry. They pretend they're not now, but they always have been. A bit like the other clowns sports shop from Newcastle. Yeah, they pretend that they're doing deals, and they don't care who they rip off. They don't care who they undercut. They don't care how they do it. Part of me, I get it, Chris. I really do, and I think all shirts are too expensive. And if you've got a family and you buy 5, then you should get massive discount on it. That would be my way of doing it. But I just think Leicester maybe naively were protecting themselves and their own shop against being stitched up by discounts, because guaranteed in 6 months' time or whatever, JD Sports will be selling this stuff off cheap. No doubt about it. And
I don't think JD Sports, because at one point, they made the shirts, didn't they, for us?
Yeah, they did. But they'll be selling everybody else's kit off cheap.
Yeah.
If they can't get rid of it, it'll be the first thing discounted.
Just look at that. A family, for me, if all my 4 children, and they're now adults, so it would be 5 adult shirts. But then, if it was 1 adult and 4 children growing up, I mean, I've never been happier to discover that, only one of my 4 children actually follows Leicester. The other 3 aren't bothered.
I'd half price those. I mean, what could you lose by doing that? Brad said that gives most of them away abroad anyway. Half price them. If you've got 2 adults and 2 children, do it for £100.
The problem you have is, I reckon it's a little bit of naivety as well, because I think they felt that for all they do for the club, and I know you say, Chris, a free bottle of water and a free donut doesn't cut what they do. And I know we have to remember that they've paid for travel before, they've paid for breakfasts before, and then little things all add up on that. There's a comment that's just one of the few comments that's just come up. He's on about how when we had the clappers, and he's quite right there, saying that the price of the programme went up by 50p is just business, sadly. And I feel like Leicester were a bit naive maybe and thought, well, it's not nice, but you've got to remember, I can tell you this now because I don't have anything where I can't say anything about the club to a degree. Obviously, I wouldn't never slander us anyway unless it was necessary, but it was I know for a fact that when they had the clappers, it was costing them £1 million per game to order in these clappers, to get them printed, to get them put out, because they got Union FS and university students to put them out, so they weren't paying anyone to do it. But the product alone, every match, and if you say that's 19 home games, forget the Champions League games as well when they were doing it, that's 19 million minimum they were paying a season to get it out. And I know it doesn't sound a lot, but if you then put the price of a donut and a bottle of water, even if you say that's £1 each, that's what, 3.4 £2 million. I can't do maths. Someone might tell me it's 340. Whatever it is, someone who's better at maths than me. How much is that per person, per capita at King Power? And I think maybe in any sort of business, and again, I'm not defending it. It's still wrong. It's morally wrong in a way to rip off your fans in any sort of circumstances. But maybe they thought, well, maybe they'll forgive us a little bit. They'll give us and it's clearly backfired on them, and they're now clearly backtracking the steps and pretending they knew nothing about it, and their heads are up their own arse and they're ostriches, if you want to quote a final analogy person. But I kind of think that maybe that's suddenly what's increased the net revenue of the club's ownerships. I don't know how dramatic it's affected them, but there's other things that we get for free that we have taken for granted because we judge it on an individual, not a collective basis.
But how many people that order shirts, like myself, I never went to a match last season, so I didn't get any free travel, any free bacon butties, any free water or beer, none of that. So, but I'm still paying, I'm still being ripped off for a shirt. They sell more than 32,000 shirts a year.
Yeah, of course.
And they're the people that are benefiting from the free bottle of water. But
we get 12,000 people each match day that haven't got a season ticket that buy their tickets individually.
Yes. And look, I don't want this to take over the show because I did say do a separate one, but I know I wanted to bring it up because I'm still pissed off about it, as you can probably tell, as somebody who buys the shirts. And this is probably the first year for a long time. I decided I didn't like the shirt. Then I thought, actually, it's got a bit of the Steve Lynex years sort of, into the pattern. And I've decided, no, they're not going to have me money, and I'm not going to be a member either this year. So that's my protest. But look, all I will say is I am now questioning, and I am questioning very much. I'm not questioning his Top's commitment to the club. You don't spend £92 million unless you're committed to a club. But I'm just wondering what, as a club, after last season and the debacle of how the club was run by Whelan and everybody else, and this now comes out, what else they're ripping us off on. Moving on, we got a new assistant manager, Dave. Underwhelmed?
Underwhelmed.
Yes.
I was with a mate of mine yesterday for Southampton, and I just said, well, somebody asked him, was he any good in goal? No. Was he any good anything else? No. But who knows? Who knows? I think he's surprised he got to assistant manager, though. It's a bit early, isn't it?
Excuse me. But no, it's a bit left field, wasn't it?
Must be a good reason for it.
Well, they probably think because he's a goalkeeper that the position will be in safe hands.
I'll
see you later, Chris. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
I'm going to write that one down. I'll use that one. Well, if he stays with us, I suppose you could say he's a keeper. But, this is what you want, Dave. This is what
with all these things, time's going to tell. We don't know, do we? We really don't know. I think the early friendlies will show what type of football they're trying to. Hey, is that this week? Friendly this week? Northampton.
I believe so. I know they're around, aren't they? Yeah.
Again,
that'll be an interesting game.
Okay, well, let's actually, as you've brought it up, I mean, we'll come back to that, Terry. I'm just going to highlight that because we'll come back to the assistant manager. But as you brought that up, Dave, are you bothered about the pre-season friendlies? I mean, away to Northampton, who gives a shit?
Not normally, but I think Northampton are a decent side. It's a good workout, and I think what it will show is how we're going to play football next year. So if we don't pass along the back four and back to the keeper all the time, we might actually start playing a bit of, Man City football in a little way. It might be the start of something like that. I mean, everybody can say, training's intense and it's different and we're doing this. But actually, until you get on the pitch and do it, as we know, it doesn't make any difference. Everybody trains well under Brenda, but when they get out there on a Saturday, they play shit. So I think it's significant. This is significant, I think, this year.
Brad, your thoughts on it? Northampton is on Saturday, the 15th of July. So, yes, it is this Saturday. It will probably be on
LTID rate, LTID. Well, it might be on here. We never know. I meant LCFC rates because we were talking about how we started, Chris, earlier.
Hang on, are you making separate deals that I don't know about here?
Quick,
I know
who's on the phone? Top, is that you?
I'm going out with my daughter. I'm not even going to be here to. I've got something going on in the morning. I'm not sure what it is. Something I've got to run through, and then in the afternoon I'm going out with my daughter to buy a suit for my son's wedding. I don't give a shit about Northampton because half the players that are playing might not be here at the start of the season. We know it's a run out just for training purposes and. Okay, so Connor Cody might play, Harry Winks might play. Who cares? We'll see them. I want to see them against Coventry on the first day. This, to me, no, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, I think, look, if we beat Northampton 6-0, does it suddenly mean we're going to win the championship? No, because knowing our luck, we'll play Burton Albion and draw 1-1. And everybody will think we were fighting relegation. Everybody should really know by now at this stage of following any football team, let alone Leicester, that the first, how many friendlies we got? 6? Is it friendlies? 5, 6 friendlies? Yeah. So let's just say for argument's sake, 6 friendlies. The first 4 are 11 play. The first 11 play the first half. The second 11 play the second half. The first 4 are for fitness, match preparation, and trying 2 tactics. You're probably going to see. And we're still going to be guessing. We're still going to be guessing until about the 5th of the big game. I air quote the big game because, again, I apologise. I don't know our whole entire.
Well, they haven't even put it. I mean, Leicester can't even be asked to put it up on the fixtures. They've got Leicester Spurs, which is Sunday the 23rd of July. So that's quite soon. And then the following Sunday, we play Liverpool. Both of those obviously in Thailand. But those are the only friendlies that they've actually put up on our fixture list. So the club can't be bothered about, because we're playing Burton. We always play Burton, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And again, that's probably why. They know it's fitness. They know that unless you're really desperate to see any potential new signings, or the 2 new signings we actually have, but unless you're really desperate and cannot wait to see them on telly or wherever the Liverpool Spurs games will probably end up on, because you'll probably find some way to watch them if they're not getting broadcasted, or even if you can't wait till the Sunday kick-off against our local rivals, Coventry, in August to see them play, you're not really that bothered. It won't be until the 5th or 6th game where I maybe cast one eye on the friendlies, because I will go, okay, we are 90% ready for the start of the season. You'll imagine all the Ian Acho and Harvey Barnesons will be put to rest one way or another. You'd imagine anybody else that's got a chance to potentially be leaving the club will have already left at this time, and anybody that they're looking to bring in will already be in. So it won't be till Game 5, probably even at a push Game 6 in the pre-season listings, that we see a full strength side. And that Liverpool Spurs games, they probably will be the time where you look at them and go, okay, that's how we're going to line up this season. That's going to be his formation. It won't necessarily be the complete 11, because he'll still want to rest and rotate players, and I'm assuming will be allowed to rotate the whole 11 if he needs to be through them games. But you'll get more. It won't be to that point so you get more of an idea what Enzo's going to do for formation wise, and what he's going to get our style of play to be. So yeah, I'm with you, Chris. The first 4, I don't really care for them.
Larry said here, Dave, 3,700 other City fans disagree. Will be a good afternoon, and I have total respect for them. I have total respect for fans that go to away games, that travel. I was actually on a show earlier today with an Ipswich fan, and it was quite nice to talk to what I would call a proper fan rather than a Man United fan who lives in London or something like that. But we got Ipswich on Boxing Day, and to me, that's, like I said, it's nice to have a local game again on Boxing Day rather than travelling up Manchester and Liverpool. But all respect to fans that do go on the away days, total and utter respect for them. But I just can't get excited because like Brad said, we're not going to see the players. We're going to see them making cameo appearances. In past, we've had 2 games on the same day at the same time, and with
Yeah. But yeah, what it does though, it does start to give the new staff members, manager, and everybody else a bit of a feel about the club and the supporters. It gets them to know. They might go over and have a chat. You never know. Things that you can't do in a league game that you can do in friendlies. And I think it probably starts building up the atmosphere about the supporters. So I don't think it does any harm. And it gets, what it's like when you start playing for the first time in the season. You think you're fit, but you're not until you've played 4 or 5 games. But so it's an important start. But I don't know. I just think it's a way of gelling the relationship between the fans who, to be honest, we've been battered and bruised last year, big time. I mean, away games, home games, we've just been treated like shit by the management team and treated like idiots. And this is a chance for the club to turn that around and for the fans to say, right, we do support you. We're looking forward to it. Different views.
Yeah, going back to this point, and I'll come back to you, Dave, because we were talking about it when it came up. Terry says here, I was convinced it was going to be Cambiasso. It would have been lovely to have been Cambiasso. It would have scored a few brownie points for the new boss had it been. But you're going to expect him to bring his own as you said, not his friends, but people that he knows. Yeah. And sorry to see Mike Stow go, as we said last week, Brad. Not sorry to see Adam Sadler or the NARS London, whatever it was called, the so-called set-piece coach, go. But look, Mike Stow, he has been with us a long time, and new ideas coming in, and this Calibra, whatever he's called, I thought they were a group that won X Factor. Maybe I'm wrong. He's maybe he'll get a game if Everson and Moore don't put their ideas up.
I think you're talking about very experienced people in the game. I think you've got to wonder how long it'll take them to settle down. I mean, it is the Championship. It's not the Premier League. Things are very different in there, aren't they? You get kicked about a bit, and there's no VAR, and there's no decent referees. Not that the Premier had many.
We can go back to blaming the real referees like we used to.
Yeah, that's right, and talk about whether it was a goal or not, but not really knowing. Yes. So yeah, I don't know. The jury's out on them. I think they haven't got long to get it going, to be honest, which is why the friendlies are so important to them.
Yeah.
Maybe not to us.
I mean, Brad, former Man City and Chelsea goalkeeper Willie Caballero joined Leicester City as assistant manager. Were you underwhelmed as much as Dave and me were?
It was very much out of nowhere. The only thing I would say about it is he was still, was he not at Southampton as well for a bit? I don't know if that's a goalkeeper or member staff. I'm not sure. Maybe one of you two or someone in the comments will be able to inform me better. But I mean, the fact that he was still playing football and he has the, I'm assuming, qualifications to be able to manage, to be classed as an assistant manager at that level, he must have some form of passing grade or some level of whatever it is you get in football.
It says he joins from Southampton, 41-year-old, and he was a former Argentinian international. He's won the Champions League, the Europa League, the FA Cup with Chelsea, and the League Cup with Manchester City. I mean, he knows how to win things.
Yeah, that's very true. And we questioned last year, where was that winning mentality? Where was that voice in the dressing room? And maybe it's going to come from a staff member this time, and we would have got that with Cambiasso. We that's probably why we was more excited, not just because he played for us for a season and we remember him fondly, but we know that Cambiasso's no mug. He wasn't going to take anything lying down, and if you have that barking instructions that year, he's not going to be like his Seal, mate, is he? He's not going to be like Seal 2.0. He's going to have a brain cell and more. And
I found some Seal bars the other day. I've still got some.
You should have told us, Brendan, 50% off. You've got to take it to court, mate. But no, I don't know if it's a bad idea or not.
No. Time will tell, as Dave says. Scott says to have a sell-on clause in the Fofana deal. It's the other Fofana that's being sold by Chelsea, not our Fofana, not the Devil Child.
Yeah, not Wesley.
The other Fofana that's going.
Christ,
I think we have a 10% clause in it.
Where was I just going to say there? A point here. Personally, I thought Stowell had to go. I thought that the goalkeepers were either not being trained or didn't listen. Look, he's been at the club how long now? Dave, when a manager, a coach is at a club for so long, things move on, and yet they're still probably teaching the same old methods.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, like Arsene Wenger, when he came, what he brought was absolute, wow, what the hell is this? And he was successful. Then towards the end, it was just becoming old hat and, it's that again and that again. So, maybe it just was time for, and I know he's come out in the paper today and said he's looking for another job, and I wish him well, but maybe the time was true for him to go.
He didn't inspire when he was, I know he's only caretaker manager for a few games at about 4 goes, was it? But, his selections didn't inspire you in any way.
Yeah.
He was very much a part of the old regime, whichever manager and whenever. So, I think you've got to make a clean sweep, give the manager his head, let him pick his own team, and let him fall on his sword if he does, or get all the praise.
I want to come to you again with this one because I think I don't want to hear Brad either swear or burst into tears. But Terry says here, I laugh my head off if Vestergaard gets a game. This is why I stuck with you, because I knew that could happen. Look at
Got a lot of potential.
Is Vestergaard that bad a player? And I would say...
Yes, he is.
You've gone. You don't get a say in this. If you leave, you don't get a say.
Make me a cup of tea, Brad.
Too sugary.
You see, I didn't think he was that bad at Southampton, but Southampton fans did.
Yes.
And he's an international playing in front of Casper. You'd have thought maybe that would have had some sway on it.
But the way I look at it is he wasn't. I agree with everything you've just said. International player, Premier League player for 3 or 4 seasons. Just was not the player that would fit into the style of play that Rodgers wanted to play at our club, which makes you wonder why he bought him in the first place. But how can we judge how good or bad he really was because he never played? It was like saying Kelechi Iheanacho, he was a shit striker, but when he got the chance to play regularly, he was our top goal scorer for the season. And surely it's the same, is it not, with Vestergaard? How can we judge a player that we hardly ever fucking see play?
I wasn't impressed when I did see him, but you're right. I mean, if you don't get a run, can you fit in? We have a certain right back like that as well, didn't we, from Southampton?
Yeah. But I think, Brad, I'm dreading asking you this, Brad, but I mean, he didn't get I could mute him. He didn't get a fair run out. He didn't get a fair crack of the whip, did he? And he didn't look good when he played. I'm not going to say that, he looked like, John Terry, or played as well as that. But it was very easy to blame him, wasn't it? But who else played any better when he was in the team?
I mean, for all the valid points you make, I'm just going to come back at you and say I'd rather have Frank Sinclair back when he was scoring own goals by seeing Walker from the edge of his own box than Vestergaard, because if he wasn't getting into the team for whatever reason, and look, despite my opinions of Vestergaard, whether it was a fallout with Brendan or not, whether it was the very, very backwards arse choice to bring someone in who doesn't fit into your style of play, but you convince the reporter and try and mug fans off by saying he does fit in style of play and then never play him. I don't know what was going on there. But now, how old is he, Chris? 34 now?
No, I think he's
It's got to be
30,
It's got to be in
31.
the 30s.
I will have a look. I will have a
Maybe
look.
I'm thinking how many feet tall he is. I don't know because he's quite a. But
I think he's maybe 30,
slow,
31.
He's mobile. I mean, if people don't want
Let's
Johnny
be honest
Evans,
with you. Let's be honest with you. Brad wouldn't know his age. He doesn't even know what shirt number he is. He
I know
was
it now. Very
he was
well,
born
thanks to Chris.
in 1992. So however old that makes him.
30,
Bollocks, is he
31.
younger than me?
Yeah.
He looks 40. Have you seen his face? He looks like
does
he could get in the new Wednesday thing on Adam's Family. He could be Lurch. He looks 40.
He was brought up in Denmark. It's cold. It's cold
Well,
in
what
Denmark.
did he get it? Did he get it with a solid Denmark flag in the face? Because yeah. All right, so he's younger than me, which is disturbing on all kinds of levels for my brain to wrap its head around. Because I'm born in 1990. Okay, but still, he's immobile. And if people have already got a disdain for Johnny Evans, not just because he won't sign a new contract, but because a certain Craig, who is a big admirer, as we know, don't we, Chris? Craig is a big admirer and a big fan of Johnny Evans. He never talks about how slow and immobile he is. Why would we want the second one? I don't get it. Someone who's not played professional football for 2 years because of the club, because of loan decisions that he turned down for whatever reason. He's not kicked a ball outside of training for 2 years. So what good's he going to be in the Championship? He's going to be slow. He's going to be off the pace. We're not going to use him like we did Matt Elliott and play him up front as a striker because we'd never see the football. It'd leave the stratosphere if he got a volley underneath it, knowing him.
I don't know. I mean, looking at him, who was that tall striker we used to have, Dave, when we were in the lower divisions?
Oh, God.
Ormeroyd.
Oh, Ian Ormeroyd.
Yeah. He's an Ormeroyd Mark II. Terry says, is the manager wanting certain players to recruitment department? This was a Rodgers signing. And this is what gets me. He came because he thought Rodgers had wanted him because Rodgers had been after him for 2 seasons, you know. But look, you know, the fact that we put
Ryan Bennett, 2 words I'll just say to you. Ryan Bennett, he chased him for 8 years. He was, look how that turned out.
But again, was he that bad?
Yeah.
What did he do that was that bad?
He slid tackled the ball into one of their players and gave them through on goal. He lost his marker many a time, and he was all over the shot. He was not the same player that he was scouting for 8 years. Rodgers got 2 players. You know how you said about Mike Stow, you know, and they say you don't change with the times. I just think he saw a player that still wasn't there but wanted him that badly throughout that time that he got him. I think it's the same with Perez. Look how quickly he came through the door. The rumour has it that he wanted him for years, Perez as well, which is why he immediately brought him in. So, you know, we had a manager that couldn't adapt to the times either or see the play.
No, quite right. And sometimes these managers have to move on because look at Mourinho. You know, he had to leave and go to Italy to replicate the success that he had with Chelsea. I'm just looking where Real Betis are actually in the league. Did they end up in the European places?
I don't know, but they do seem weirdly.
Yes, Real Betis. So you've got 2 players that weren't good enough to play for Leicester. One of Real Betis are in the Europa League, and one Atletico Madrid are in the Champions League, and we've lost 2 players to them.
I'm only gutted about one, though. I think we're all gutted about one. Let's face it, Soyuncu was good enough for Leicester. John Terry proved that in his first 2 days being there. He went, what the hell are you doing in the under-21s? Come training with the first team. That tells you all we need to know. The fact they didn't do the same with Vestergaard.
I just think sometimes that we tend to take a player, Dave, and we latch onto them as not liking them. I mean, Ben Chilwell, he was absolutely
I didn't get that.
but he wasn't popular with the vast majority, and yet whilst he wasn't, good enough to play for Leicester, he was England's number one left back.
Yeah, I never got that. I always thought Chilwell was good. I mean, he struggled defending. He was a bit like Gareth Bale, wasn't he? Never a left back, but more of an attacking midfielder.
And look, Luke Young, everybody's saying, he's not good enough and we should have loaned him out. He's just come back with the Euro Under-21 medal. That's 2 medals he's got, more than Harry Kane.
And if I can also point out Ryan Bertrand, he played 4 games for Leicester, probably only 3.5, if that.
He looked good in the first one.
He
that
did.
Was a friendly. That was a friendly. I rest my case about friendlies. He looked good in that friendly.
What about good free kick though, didn't he, Chris?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. He looked okay. I remember coming out and saying, this could be the surprise signing of the season.
Yeah, he was surprised how injured he was.
Yeah. We should be surprised because every Southampton fan we spoke to and even had on the show said he's an injury waiting to happen. But yeah,
Vestergaard was rubbish. Yeah, they said that.
But Luke, Luke Thomas. He's just won another medal. He's got an FA Cup. In fact, he's got 3 medals. He's got an FA Cup. He's got a Charity Shield, and now he's got an England under Euro 21. He's got more international trophies and medals than Harry Kane has. But people don't think he's good enough.
Well, so have I, to be honest. But I think Luke Thomas is a good player.
Not good enough, Dave.
No, not now. He needs support, doesn't he? Luke, all these youngsters playing, they're exposed to a decent winger. They need support, and we don't do it. We don't mark wide. We never did. In all the games I saw last year, we left space on the wide side all the time, and like Ben Chilwell did it to King Power, they score from it. I mean, every time. I didn't get that at all. You got full-backs, mark your bloody wingers.
But Brad, we had somebody that was in charge that was supposed to be absolutely brilliant with youngsters and training them and bringing them through.
Bell end.
Just in case you need reminding who it was.
I never would have guessed.
I mean, how many of these players? He seemed to bring them through, and then they seemed to stop.
The thing is with Luke Thomas especially is he wasn't prepared, and nor were the club prepared to have him in the plans to start playing them. And I think Brandon tried his best to, but handled it horribly with his wording of saying that Luke Thomas wasn't ready for the Premier League. Now, whether he felt that in himself and whether he felt, I'm not ready, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure I'm ready for this big occasion. I don't know. But people seem to forget Luke Thomas is, you've just said it there, Chris, he's in the under-21s for England. We're not talking he's just helped the first team win a European Championship, because that's never happened in our history, right? He's just helped the under-21s. He made his Leicester debut away at Spurs, I believe it was, aged, 18, 19? So when we had the England international men's left-back in our team, who only got hate because he wouldn't bomb up and down the wing for 90 minutes because he's not a Duracell bunny, right? He actually had to, balance, his efforts to run Chilwell. And Chelsea fans have learned to accept Chilwell for the way he is, funny enough, because they realise that he's not going to be up and down the wing. The problem is for, Luke Thomas, as he was chucked into the deep end, he had to play, 14, 15 games of that first season he was with Leicester, somewhere around that number anyway, if it's not close to us in that sense. And he never got the chance to recover, because all of a sudden, once you put someone in a limelight, and let's remember, he did a decent enough job to keep getting picked there when we had players coming back fit. He was still putting performances that we were singing. It then becomes very difficult because you have to manage their confidence. Quite fragile teenagers these days, with all their social media. So quite fragile teenagers these days. They're made of thinner stuff than we were as teenagers, all of us here, right? And the problem is when you can't then just suddenly go, thanks for playing a season and a half, but I've gone and brought James Justin from Luton, so you can now go on loan. No, the decision should be made at the end of that first season to mature him out on loan. And when he chose not to, and he entrusted him with that left back responsibility as the first team left back, the worst thing you can do to someone like that is when the tough when it starts getting tough and they start having a wobble, is instead of putting an arm around them and telling them you believe in them and to trust themselves, is to drag them out of the way and say, you're not good enough, essentially, is what I'm saying to you, because I'm sending you out on loan to Middlesbrough. It would have worked back in the day when we had other players and we were made of thicker stuff. Like it's what I'm saying, but it doesn't work now. And unfortunately, I think Leicester fans maybe need to remember we've been, for the past 3.5 seasons, we've had someone who still qualifies for the under-21s playing as our left back in the top division of England.
We would have been up shit creek, wouldn't we, without him?
Yeah, of course we would have. We'd have had Vestergaard playing left back.
Yeah. Francis is asking about predictions for the season. Look, we don't know. I am going to be doing a prediction show. Possibly, well, it will be with a non-Leicester fan because we don't know the team. So hopefully be getting somebody that knows that particular league that will predict it. But we don't know yet who's playing, who's being sold. I mean, we can't predict any starters. We don't know who'll be in the bloody squad at the time. But I want to come on to the next point now, and we will do that straight after this.
The Premier League? That's so last season. It's all about the Championship here on LTID TV.
Now that's what I call football.
You hit the right spot.
Indeed. This is the one that's come up. Luke said earlier, Coventry for me was the worst possible start. As we know, anybody can win a derby. Just hope the occasion doesn't get to the lads. Are you not excited, Dave? I'm excited. Actually, I called Coventry at home as the first match just before it was announced. So I wish I had a bet on it. I'm excited by that because it's a proper derby at last.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's my derby because being from Nuneaton, Coventry's nearer to where I lived than Leicester. So, yeah, and a lot of Coventry fans at school. So it was always a big day. When it was on a bloody Saturday. So it didn't take them long to change it, did it?
It was changed as soon as it was announced. So it was done before it even came out.
Outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it depends where in the county you are as to whether it's Forest, Derby, or Coventry. I think that all three of them are derby games because they're all East Midlands clubs. But I mean, I was quite happy to call the Villa a derby game because for years it was the only team that were in that division with us. Wolves.
I hate to be pedantic, but Coventry's West Midlands.
All right then. But it's at the end of the
Chris, I'll help you. I was going to say I'll do that. I'll get him out. Don't believe that pedanticness in here.
Oh God, you wait till no week today, mate. If I pass the test, I'm going to put you in it.
Just mentioning it. See, we're very precious in the Midlands. See, I'm not from Birmingham. I was always told I was from Birmingham down south.
But they're the nearest club to us. It's the M69 derby. What do you say about motorway derbies, Brad?
Look, what I'm going to say to you, Dave, is exactly what Chris just mentioned there. None of this red side of the train track bollocks. When you know you've got a derby and they call it by the motorway name, you know you're massive as a derby. With the M69 derby, you go look and watch in your archives of a Leicester City season, probably about 400 years ago when we were last in the same division as Coventry. You'd have to dig it out. The last time we were in the division with Coventry, it was referred to as the M69 derby, and I tell you what, mate, that's when you know you've made it big. When your derby gets known as the motorway derby.
Hold on, are there only 2 clubs on the M69 like that? Whereas
no, it don't matter, Dave. Coventry and Leicester recognise us. We won the M69 derby award, mate. We're massive. That's how it goes. That's the rules.
If Nuneaton ever get into the same division as us, there'll be an M69 derby.
If we ever get back into the bloody Southern League.
Well, this is the point. I mean, I'm just looking here.
The M1 derby.
And blame. Where are we? The last time we played Coventry was on the 3rd of March 2012. That should have been one of your questions in the quiz, shouldn't it? We beat them 2-0. Goals were scored by David Nugent and Jermaine Beckford. And I
He scored and he wasn't offside.
Must have been the FA Cup then, was it? Beckford.
No, you're thinking of the Forest game where he scored a hat trick.
Yeah, no,
I
it
thought
was
he
the
only-
championship. Yeah, the
Championship.
championship. And our team consisted, our starting 11 was Kasper Schmeichel. He was awful. Bad goalkeeper, wasn't he?
Never last.
No. Paul Konchesky, Wes Morgan, Sean St. Ledger, bloody hell, Ben Marshall, Lee Peltier, Neil Dans, Lloyd Dyer, Richie Wellens, Jermaine Beckford, and David Nugent. Ben Marshall was replaced in the 71st minute by Danny Drinkwater. David Nugent was swapped with Jeffrey Schlupp, and Jermaine Beckford went off with Stephen Howard.
Oh, big Steve Howard. What a player. What a player he was.
Our other two subs were Tom Kennedy.
Yeah.
Didn't he end up being naughty in Thailand?
Yeah.
Probably.
And Sol Bamba.
Sol Bamba. Anyone remember his debut, Sol Bamba?
Yes,
What
I was about to ask you that.
That game, mate.
Who was it? Who did we play?
Oh, teacher, pit me. Man City in the FA Cup, and
Brad,
it was.
sit down and wait your turn.
Oh, but
Put your hand up. I think you want to go to the toilet.
I think it was Man City in the FA Cup at home.
God, pick my answer, sir. He read my answer.
And you know how he scored? Come on then, Brad.
It was a corner, and I can't remember. It sounds obvious like he would have headed it in, but it was from a corner, and he either headed it in or he toe punted it in.
I think it was a deflection, wasn't it?
Wasn't it a back heel?
Could have been.
Something
It
weird,
was
yeah.
very. It wasn't the obvious way you thought, but yeah, he scored. Didn't he just come on as well?
Yeah.
Literally.
No, I think it was something like the 6th minute of the game.
Yeah, and then Andy King equalised near the end of that game and took it to a replay, and we got beat 4-2 when we went to what was then known as the City of Manchester Stadium. It's now known as Etihad Airways or whatever they really want to call it these days.
Well, Sven was in charge, wasn't he then?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Joe, I remember the game because it was one of the few games I'd been able to get to that season. We managed to nab tickets, and I remember Joe Hart caught it and spilled it straight to Andy King, and Andy King went like that after. I think they had a player called Joe, who was up front with Tevez, and he missed an open goal, and he couldn't get a boot connection on him properly. I remember that game. James Milner, I think, may have even scored for Man City in that game. Because Carlos Tevez did the little it was almost Gianfranco Zola-like finish to get them level. That game is embedded in the brain.
I am just watching it now.
Who's winning?
Off from the corner, short corner.
He's
Gallagher in. It was a toe poke. It wasn't a back
I thought it
heel.
was a toe punt.
Yeah, the toe poke in. And it was something after, I'm just showing it again in slow motion. A short corner from Gallagher, back to him, headed across. Hang on. It was a side foot. We'll split it. It was a side foot in. He came down and he side footed it in, if that makes sense.
Like striker's finish for a centre back.
We ended up with 10 men, didn't we, or something? Did we
Sorry?
end up with 10 men? Did we end up with 10 men?
I don't know. I've shut that down now.
No, maybe not.
Hang on, let me go into my history.
So it just rings a bell because
Hang on, not that history.
missed the replay.
He's got so many questions.
No, I don't know.
Don't worry about
it. But Gordon Milne could have been their manager, Terry. You are right. Sol Bamba. He was playing for Leeds at one point, wasn't he?
He was, and Cardiff.
Yeah. Okay, we want to wrap it up now because we've run over the hour. I just want to list this last one or possibly two here. Apparently, indeed, he's not going to Celtic. But
he's going somewhere, is he?
We have
Saudi Arabia.
Okay, I tell you what, mate. Seeing as you brought Saudi Arabia up, let's talk Saudi Arabia. I know we're not in the Premier League anymore, but is it not pot calling kettle black with the Premier League, saying, "Oh, Saudi Arabia." They're just what the Premier League did 30-odd years ago.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's funny how when someone else does it, it's immoral. It's against the spirit of the game. It's like throwing a ball at a set of stumps when someone's at the crease. It's not in the spirit of the game, you could say. Dave's gone. He doesn't like cricket at all, does he? Really hell. I made one reference. Oh dear, no one wants to see me on full screen. I got to start going fussy.
Let it go.
No, I'm one of them. I thought it was very fair and right of the Australians. There was no reason for Bairstow to do what he did in that one. But
well, I don't believe it.
I don't know where I didn't get rid of him. I don't know where he's gone.
I don't know. I think he booted his laptop off in disgust that we mentioned it. He's clearly still salty about it. But
it does seem very hypocritical, doesn't it?
Yeah, well... Oh, it's funny how when someone else does it and does a better, for lack of a better word, but a better job, financial, bringing in terms of money they're able to start it up with. Sorry, the Saudis are so rich and formidable in that sense because the Premier League had to finance football to a way that is. It makes you sick to think about it, how much finances are involved in sport these days.
Talking of finances,
but doesn't it benefit them as well? Look at Chelsea; they're selling all their players to their second clubs over there, and
well, there is that because Chelsea obviously have got to sort out all this with the financial fair play, and they've signed players for 8 years and all this. And
Chelsea adhere to financial fair play. Whatever extra, Man City, good of heck.
Hang on. We've got him back. The man is back.
Don't mention the cricket. I think I got away with it, but don't mention.
That was rude. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
That was all right. You just.
God.
There's a spark came out my ears and it just went off. Actually, no. The cricket was incredible, wasn't it?
Absolutely have incredible. The power to rebuild him.
Yeah. Nervous.
Look what we ended up with.
should have seen me beforehand.
Exactly. Dave, I'll ask them to you with this one. Well, we've got you while you're still here. FA Cup looks like it's going to be run by the Premier League now.
Yeah. I don't know which is worse, Premier League or the FA, to be honest. I think they're all Cowboys.
I think I'm just looking for the story here, but I saw it on Sky Sports, I'm sure. I'm not making this up, am I, anybody?
Well, I've not heard it.
I've not heard that yet. And I can't wait for that. If we thought the FA Cup draws were bad, I can't wait for the Premier League to make sure that Man City and Man U get the likes of Shrewsbury Town and Chesterfield United all the way to the semi-finals.
And Chelsea get a home
and this
draw.
ball, oh, no, not this one. It slipped out of my hands. I meant this one. Oh, would you look at that? Shrewsbury Town for Man City. Yeah, right. Tell me you like to fix things without telling me you like to fix things if they brought it in-house. What's next? What's next? Are JD Sports going to sponsor the League Cup? We shouldn't have brought them into it. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't find it now, but I'm sure I heard something on...
Did you hear it in a dream?
No, definitely wasn't a dream.
Or a nightmare in that case, I guess.
FA Cup Premier. It was on Talk Sport.
You mean Talk Spurs?
I'd be surprised if the FA let go of it. I mean, it's one of the longest running competitions in the world, isn't it?
Well, this is what they were talking about, and they're saying it will become if the because they're on about the Premier League. We're going to put so much more money up for it. Say, let us run it for you, and you get you more money than you get in now, etc. But then it would become just second to Premier League, wouldn't it? Because you'd have midweek matches and
no one cares. Honestly, you ask any fan, especially in the early rounds, who cares for a midweek FA Cup game? It's just not an FA Cup, is it? FA Cup should be at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Make a day of it. Have it all out there. Let's go and see Leicester take on Bristol Rovers in the cup. Because They were the chances for the fans that, because the season ticket doesn't hold any benefit or never used to hold much benefit to a cup round. That was the chance you got to take your young kids because the tickets would be free. And most fans
Here we go.
with the wife.
FA Cup set for biggest shake-up in history with replays and showpiece weekend final axed. A potential deal with the Premier League could force the FA Cup to endure mass changes that include the scrapping of replays and major tweaks of the regular calendar. And maybe if it's in the mirror, it must be true. Yeah, I mean, all I can see for me, I would very easily say, let's get rid of replays in the FA Cup because we are playing too many games. I think we should get rid of them we have got rid of them in the Carabao Cup. It should go straight to penalties. But look, if Blythe's beating Arsenal 1-0 at home in the 5th round or whatever, and they got a chance to go through, they know that if it's a draw and they go back to Arsenal, that Arsenal are going to whip their arse.
For a lot of money.
Yes, but what happens if they get past Arsenal and then get Man United in the next round? That'd be more money.
Yeah, but you're really saying they could beat them on penalties or Arsenal wouldn't score in the 95th minute or something?
Well, we've seen it happen before. We've seen how often Premier League teams have scraped through, haven't we?
Yeah, I think clubs rely on replays as much as anything, so they can make their money.
I think the problem you've got there, Chris, with the replays is I'm with you 100%. I mean, for God knows how many years we've tried to backwards arse replays. I mean, we used to have first and second. It wasn't even replays in the League Cup. You remember from the quiz I did, Chris? The one out of about 3 I did get right was the fact that we had first and second legs in the first couple of rounds. I think it was up until the 3rd round where we played Manchester United, where it wasn't home and away legs. Then it doesn't work, but for years, probably since the birth of the FA Cup, or whenever, at least when replays were introduced in the FA Cup, if they weren't in there from the start, is again like you said, it's the financial benefit. If say a Sutton United, and we all know that infamous incident, but when they played, when they beat, when they got drawn against Arsenal or somebody like that, and either beat them or beat
they beat Kovshite when they were holders.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, well, yeah, but they were massive. That was a massive day. That 1 week, that one fixture, probably beat all the home gate receipts combined for that one season. A club, and you see it even if it's on the naff bloody BBC One show or whatever, wherever the draw's done, where they get the crowd and the fan, get 1 or 2 fans from each club in, they actually still cheer it, but get a little bit disappointed if after all the hard work of getting to the proper rounds of the cup, they go and draw a rod from them. They're wanting that away, that home tie against a Leicester or an Arsenal. Even Leicester, even though we're a Championship club, it's still a big name that they're going to put on there, because now officially Leicester are former winners of the cup. What did Newport County want to do to Leicester? They wanted to knock us out of it. What did Forest want to do, and sadly successfully do, the year after we won it? We want to knock them out because they're the holders. That's a big coup. I know it's difference in levels between them two teams, but the thing's there. And if you take that away from them, the question is, are the Premiership sides, and the answer to this is no, it's a rhetorical question, it doesn't need an answer, are they going to make up the financial loss that these clubs will get by not getting a replay? If they go to Anfield and hold Liverpool to a 0-0 draw because they put out their under-21s, why should they lose on penalties and not get a chance to showcase it at home? That's Liverpool. That's on Liverpool for not being good enough over 90 minutes to beat them. Why shouldn't they? And if they're not going to compensate them and make their percentage payout for the draw better, then why do these? We moan that clubs are going out of business. Bury's just reformed. Bolton were lucky they didn't go out of business. We've lost no ends of clubs. And you've seen the fallout from the Wimbledon sides and that MK Dons fiasco. Which one's which and which one's real? Well, the reason we lose these clubs is because we take away opportunities like this. And I just feel like if you give the Premier League the power of it, you might as well put the FA Cup in the bin. and
I
retire.
don't agree with giving the Premier League
No,
to
exactly.
run it. Totally no, just no. In fact, I've got a thing for you here. This is what I think.
Oh no. Oh no.
Can I just say, Dave, all of these work just as well on the radio.
I'm sure.
But I just think if a club are that close to knocking a Premier League team out, because of course, don't get me wrong, every time they get through to the next round, they get a bigger slice of the prize money, so they get so much every time they go through the rounds. And I think, if they're on the brink of getting through to the quarter final, but they know that, well, if the other side equalise and we go back, it's a draw, they don't. I don't know. I just think we don't. I think it does cut down the giant killing because of the, going back to the home ground. But I just want to quickly, and I know I said that was the last one, but it's not, because I just want to quickly touch on the women's team, because they were actually a team that was successful last season. They managed to avoid relegation. The only other team, I think, was the under-23s, and that was only because of the restructuring. We signed a fantastic goalkeeper that we had on loan, Brad, and we've just signed a German international, Lena Peterman.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we have. And for anyone who does follow the women's game, and before someone starts moaning, I know we have had a few problems in the group, not so much in these shows, Chris, but the women's team, we signed a goalkeeper who is a German international, and she made the most. We only signed her in January, and last season she made the most saves in that entire division. So she made more saves between January and the end of the season than any keeper did who played the entirety of that season. So that just tells you how important she was to Leicester, and the fact that she's now got somebody in the dressing room who she can not just communicate with on a language. Communication of German English is very similar in a lot of ways, but to have someone there who's another international, very good, very experienced, it's great. And progress is a slow, but a very manageable thing. And if this means that Leicester can secure safety with 4 or 5 games to go next season, it'll be progress upon progress. It's great to see that we're not just going to rest on our laurels and play the survival game. 2 very good signings.
We were favourites to go down again. I remember Maisie saying she thought we'd go down, but did we finish third from bottom this time?
Yeah, in fact, I can't remember now Spurs' results, but there was an occasion where we got screwed out of by some dodgy refereeing. Not that we ever see that in a Premier League or Championship, Chris. Against a certain West Ham side. I think had we beaten them, we would have actually finished higher than a certain Tottenham Hotspur as well. So we could finish even for an even higher than that. I think it was goal difference, maybe a point. So yeah, progression on last season, more points than last season. Safety was gained earlier than last season. It's all steps in the right direction. And the fact that Bayern Munich have let us have Leipzig and we've managed to bring in a German international to play at the back only strengthens our cause. And to Maisie, maybe 3rd time's a charm, and maybe Maisie will be no again from Leicester Women when we prove you wrong. I don't know, but it's good to see that we're not just defying odds, but we are improving it as a team. And honestly, if you have any interest in the women's football tool, get yourself involved in it, because it's something that I've been following for a while, back in the Morgan days when we were playing on a park. And it's something I've grown to, especially with last season, maybe take a bit more interest in, because of the fact that at least they were doing some successful things.
Well, look, Dave, I don't know whether you're a big fan of the women's game.
Yeah.
I've
got a future Leicester striker in the family.
Have you? Well,
she's only 2 at the moment, but she's got 2.
I thought you meant Iggle Piggle.
She's got 2 feet, 2 good feet. She can head a very light ball.
More than a granddad, then.
Indeed.
Yes.
She's got the shirt.
Oh, good. You're bringing her up right. That's
probably not this year, though, Chris.
I say, how much did that cost you? You were ripped off.
It's only a baby one.
I mean, we're going to be watching, because I'm going to be covering the Women's World Cup this season. Women not happy with the bonus they're getting, so it just sounds like the men's game now, doesn't it? But
Well, they shouldn't be happy. They shouldn't be happy.
I think we've got a good chance, don't you?
I'd
mean,
like to think so, but I don't think so. No, I think it's a step too far at the moment.
I mean, we beat Brazil in the Super Cup, didn't we?
We did, yeah. But,
I'd argue with you on that one.
Yeah, well, I accept that. I mean, I hope you're right.
Well, it's just the natural progression. I mean, probably the best thing in a weird way to happen to England was that undefeated streak came to an end in a random friendly, I think it was. It might have been a qualifier, I'm not sure, but it was against Poland or somebody like that. It'd gone on a really impressive undefeated streak that was 40 games long. It obviously coincided with the women winning the previous tournament that was before. So I think they needed that, because I think the fear was it was starting to play on the mind. Oh, we got through another game. Oh, we've extended the run. Oh, we got, and I'm not saying that they were playing bad at all, but I think you kind of don't go into this tournament going 50 games undefeated, willing to lose the game. If they lose the game, how will they respond? They've already responded with a few decent results to that, so it's not really affected them. I keep an eye on the rankings of that, and I know it's not in comparison to the men's. The men's, you think France and weirdly Belgium and teams like that, they were up there. Here it's the USA's, it's the Canadas, it's
USA, really, isn't it? Is it still
pretty
like
much? And I think this England team under the management they've got are very, very impressive. And I would, well, let's just say if you told me both the men and the women's were going to get to their respective cup competition finals, and you said I had to put all my money on one of them to win it, I'm going to back history and I'm going to put the money on the women to bring back another title. But I'm not going to jinx them, because I'm owning myself. So I'm just going to say they're going to lose it in the first round. There you go, Chris. Reverse psychology. I can use my powers for good. They're going to get knocked out.
What's the North Macedonian women's team?
We're having a structural issue at the moment. It turns out I'm not actually North Macedonian, so I can't manage them right now. But I'm working on it, Chris. I'm working on it.
And how did the men's team do recently against us?
Well, for what, 20 minutes where we played a solid game, kept them at 0-0. No. Then they paid me some money, allegedly.
Allegedly. Dave, thank you so much. Well, you left us for a bit when Brad brought the cricket. I don't blame you, really.
Well, no, it's nothing to do with that, mate. I love it. But I don't know what happened.
Oh, God. I'm being outvoted here. I couldn't watch it. I was flicking between that and the F1. It was that I thought, this is typical England. But thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, pal.
Tell people where they can find you, because you're on the air.
It's not about me anymore, is it, really?
You're off the air then.
Well, you're on the air. You have a show.
Actually, I'm starting
in the
the show.
afternoons.
Yeah, as you probably know, I've given my season ticket up, and my daughter has this year, because the changing the games. I mean, she's a nurse in Sutton, and changing the games for me and her was impossible. So, unfortunately, we've surrendered it. It's not because we got relegated.
People can listen to you over the radio waves.
Yeah, so at 3 o'clock now, starting first week in August, I'll be doing the sports show, 3 till 6, surreyhillsradio.co.uk. Linking up with Leicester Till I Die with a bit of luck as well.
Well, I keep getting rid of him. I don't mean to. I'm pressing the wrong button.
He's eager to get you out of the room.
No,
when I've gone, what are you going to do?
I have no idea.
We'll just carry on. That's all, mate.
But yeah, do check. So 3rd of August, surreyhillsradio.co.uk, or ask your smart speaker to play Surrey Hills Radio, and it will do that. Or if you're on your mobile app, download the TuneIn Radio app, and you can listen to it via there.
Yeah. Do that on your telly as well.
I'll do your job for you, Dave.
Thanks, Chris.
Anyway, Dave, thank you very much, mate. I've no doubt we will speak at some point during the week. We spoke about it every day as it is. But all the best, mate, and take care.
You too. See you guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye, Dave. And there wasn't one Harry amongst all that.
I know, right? Miracles do happen, mate. Not
Miracles
just
do happen.
here, but they do happen.
I want to a couple of things that you can talk us through. First of all, tell us about this.
Well, yes, as you can see there, the Predictions League is back fighting strong for this season. It might be the Championship, but it doesn't matter where Leicester are. The Premier League, the Premier League, I even say it then, the Prediction League can always be found. And if you want to get involved, like a few of you already are in the comments, I've got several people already involved, you need to do the following. You need to follow me on Twitter at Fulltime Focus. I'll give you a follow back. Then drop me a message saying, Brad, I want to be in your Predictions League, and I'll tell you it's £5 entry fee, and then Chris will tell me it's not, so it'll be for free. Don't worry, it is free. Basically, I will be starting a group chat to make it easier for everybody. Post predictions for that week, including any midweek games. So it runs, I believe it's Friday to Thursday. So if we play on, say, the Saturday and we play on a Wednesday, it'll be the 2 sets of fixture list. It's the entire Championship fixture list, not just Leicester. So make sure you do that. Please do write the predictions out, as you can see as example number 6. Although he has spelt Leeds wrong, it's got another E. But do put it as, for example, QPR 1, Middlesbrough 1. You'll get 1 point if it's a draw. You'll get 3 points if the score is that you predicted is correct. And you will see the updates. And as you can see there, I'm in charge. Any disputes you have will come to me, not to Chris, because it's me running it, not Chris. And he'll tell you kindly to piss off to me to get it solved. And if you compete in it, points make prizes, as I like to say. And our very own Steve Lynex is so gracious in coming bottom that he'd rather donate something to you wonderful guys. Not sure if there's a first, second, or third. Chris will speak
just
to
just the first prize.
Just first place. There you go. So if you can beat me, and even if you don't, because we don't count, do we, Chris? Me, you, and Steve, we don't count. So if you don't finish first overall because of me, because I am the 2-time Prediction League champion, you will still get your hands on the following: a cap or a beanie, a t-shirt, a sweat top, and a hoodie. They will all be graciously donated from foxy7clothing.co.uk. And you want to see what merch you're potentially playing for, do get over to that website and check them out. And but that's also what you'll be playing for as the winner of the Predictions League.
Mike, who is consistently banned by Twitter, says, can you join via Messenger?
Yes, mate. That's fine. So just send me a message one way or another. I've got a few people that have said the same to me. They don't bother with Twitter. Can I message you that way? As long as I can get you individually, the Twitter lot's more collective. It'll be more for my own sanity, because there's about 7 or 8 of you on Twitter that want to be a part of the group.
And also, not only, but this is up and running.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And we did our first live broadcast. And if you haven't already, check it out. If you click on the little description link on YouTube, Chris always has it there. It is our second channel. It is the LTID TV quiz channel. Anthony, well, you'll have to see if he was able to beat the drop or not on the 1 million point drop. Was he a Man City and keeping all his points and holding them for everybody else? Or was he like Spurs in an FA Cup, a little bit pointless? You'll have to go and check out the first episode. Tell me what you make of it. I hope you all enjoy it. And if you want to be involved in it, I have a bit of a waiting list, but I will get you on for it. Do go and check it out. Do let me know. And you can let me know either on the video itself. Just drop a comment on there or message me via my Twitter handle as before.
And if you want to support LTID TV, you can become a member. Just $1.99 of your good English pounds a calendar month. You get loyalty badges and emojis, allegedly. We'll always give you a shout out. We will always put your comments on screen. We don't put 100% of the comments on screen, especially if you like Boris and his comment about women's football. All you're going to do is get kicked out. The YouTube posts that we do are exclusive for members, and it includes the quiz as well. And I'm putting another one up in a minute. We'll be doing member-only shows next season. So once we get the numbers up, we'll be doing shows just for members. And as we saw with Tony, he came on the other day, didn't he? I didn't realise he was a Norwich fan, but, you know, his money's as good as anybody else's. You can come on and you can be a guest on the show. Not every show, but occasionally I will put it out and invite people on, and it's the first person to reply to me on the YouTube post. And after a qualifying period, you also get a 5% discount on LTID TV merchandise. And if you like a giggle, and who doesn't, follow us on TikTok. There are 2 TikTok accounts. If you follow my personal one, I will just ignore you because that literally is just for family and friends. And when I say friends, I don't mean Facebook friends or Twitter friends, just friends. But if you search LTID TV, with all the outtakes on the shows, including Brad's Your Vision application, his North Macedonia rant, what Brad was doing with his finger to me the other day. You can find all those sort of clips on TikTok, and we're also on Instagram. If you are on Instagram and do like your news picture style, then get over and follow again LTID TV. And we are looking at the new one that is coming out. Strings, I think it's called, isn't it, Brad? Do you know about that?
Well, no, I don't. Like Pinocchio, I have no strings to hold me down. So I don't know anything about the string, but yes.
I thought I'd tie you up in knots then.
Oh, well, you'll have to send me the thread to it, mate.
I had a friend once, he was a very old piece of string, and he went into a pub and he said, "Excuse me, do you serve food?" He went, "Afraid not."
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, I knew that was coming, didn't I? Oh,
you're going to get, this is what the fans want, and this is what you're going to get on the breakfast show, hopefully next week, if it all works out, on Surrey Hills Radio, when I take it over for my sins. These are the sort of jokes that people want.
Yippee.
We'll have a bit of mic dropping.
Boom!
Not Mike as in Mike Green, but just Mike generally. Brad, thank you so very much, mate. We finally got it sorted after all the trouble we had right at the start. You do make me feel good because I realise that it's not always me that gets things wrong. Doug's in. Good evening, Doug. We're about to go, but thanks for popping in, mate. Hope you are well. Brad, I will see you at some point, I'm sure.
No doubt, mate. They'll probably, knowing our luck, we'll say we're going to have a break from streaming together, unless we'll go and sign someone at 5:15 tomorrow. So it'll be just our luck, mate.
We'll stay online because I will have a quick one with you afterwards, Mrs. But thanks very much, mate.
No worries, and goodbye, everybody who's tuned in, and thank you for joining us.
No, you are welcome. You are welcome. Thank you, Brad. Neil is in Edinburgh, is he? Bloody hell. Hope he's had his vaccinations. Sorry, Doug. Sorry, mate. Do give him my love. But I want to thank Brad and thank Dave for being on. Really do appreciate them. I don't know when we'll be back because we different shows with it being off season. If we sign anybody, we'll be back to that. Thank you to everybody who has watched and on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter and listened via their favourite podcast platform. Don't forget to join $1.99. If you're new, subscribe, although you've had to subscribe to be able to chat. Smash the likes as well. And thank you to Mike and Terry for officiating as moderators. Thank you to all the members that we have at the moment. Really do appreciate it. This has been Leicester Till I Die TV. I've been Chris. I will, like this next gentleman, be back. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.